Today we're going to have a microphone comparison between the QuadCast and then the QuadCast S, which from what I can tell here, it just adds RGB and changes the aesthetics slightly, as well as changing the micro USB port to a USB Type-C port. Then in the middle here, we've got the Wave 3 from Elgato, and the pricing, I'll put the pricing up on the screen for you guys. Depending on where you live, the prices may vary. I noticed in the US, the Wave 3 is significantly cheaper than both the QuadCast and the QuadCast S. In Australia, however, the prices are pretty similar. And then for the last microphone that we're gonna use in today's comparison, we've got this one right here, AKA the ugly microphone, which I've had it sitting around the studio. I do use this for voiceovers sometimes. But with that aside, let's get straight into that comparison. First up here, we're gonna have the QuadCast S, and then we're gonna change back and forth between the HyperX QuadCast non-S with no RGB. So the original one had a red LED. This one just has RGB cycling through. Now you can adjust the volume on the bottom of this device, just like the original, and you can change the polar patterns. So this is on cardioid at the moment, meaning if you just speak, imagine a little love heart coming out around the microphone. That's the area that's gonna capture. And so it's gonna block out as much outside noise as it can. But then we'll change over now to stereo. So this is what stereo sound like. You can use it this way, and so if you're doing ASMR and stuff like that, it'll work that way. Then there's omnidirectional, that'll just pick up everywhere in the room, so the microphone will sound similar if you pull it away. Then there's the bidirectional. So this is if you're interviewing people. So I think this is in bidirectional now. So if you've got one voice here, it'll capture both voices equally. But I usually use all my microphones in cardioid pattern because I'm usually just, with a condenser, I'm usually speaking right into them at this distance. So here's the proximity of the microphone too. If you talk closer to it, you can get a deeper sounding voice. And if you talk away from it, it'll lose that bass. So let's change over now to the little companion here and see how it goes. And here now is the QuadCast. Same feature set as the QuadCast S minus the RGB. It's got a red LED instead. You can still hot mute the microphone from the top just by tapping it. There's also those same four patterns that we spoke about before. So it's pretty much, from what I can tell, the exact same microphone minus RGB. Save yourself $50 US. In Australia, you'll save yourself, I think, 60 or 70 Aussie dollars. And you've got a micro USB or a mini USB port instead of the Type-C. And next up here is the main microphone that I'm using personally on the channel here. This is the Wave 3 from Elgato. There's also the Wave 1, which is I think $20 cheaper. And you can also get a pop filter for an additional $30. But I think it's already got a pop filter built in. So that basically stops you from making these big blows. Like if you go puh, 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 that usually comes out if there's no pop filter, and it just blasts the microphone with a heap of air and makes this real undesirable sound. Though one thing I like about this microphone in particular is it's also got the built-in hard limiter. So if you just start yelling into this microphone, it's not going to clip. So it's going to save your audio from yourself. And that's one thing I really like about it, especially if you're live streaming. You don't have a chance to go back and re-edit that shot and redo it, and you're not going to blast your viewers' eardrums. One more thing about the two QuadCast mics and also the Wave 3 is that they come with a headphone port, though you can't directly control the volume on the QuadCast as opposed to the Elgato, which you've got a knob on the front, which you can then press that and it'll change between your microphone volume and your headphone volume, and even your mixing volume if you're live streaming, so you can hear yourself as opposed to what's digitally going through. Now, the microphone that I have had for years and years, and over time it has definitely aesthetically became less and less pleasing, but I still use this now with an audio interface for doing voiceovers, and you may notice that it's quite raspy, and that's because it's got a really large diaphragm and it's pretty much just pure mic for the money. And there's no denying that this thing does sound good, even for voiceovers, which I think it's more designed for music. The reason, however, I don't use it nowadays on camera is because it just looks that bad. I've had to go to the point sometimes where I was covering it up with a pop filter, and you guys were like, the pop filter's around the wrong way. I'm like, no, it's around the right way. So I think aesthetics do have something to do with these microphones, which we're going to go now back to the Wave 3 and we'll talk about those aesthetics. So with all those microphones done and dusted, I am now back to the Wave 3 from Elgato. This is the one that I'm using from here on when I'm on camera and you guys are seeing a microphone. And the reason being is because the voice quality isn't the best, but the thing just looks really neat. And it's actually got some really good features that me as a clumsy YouTuber, or me as a person who's not focused on audio most of the time, really appreciates what this thing offers with the inbuilt pop filter and then an additional pop filter. I'm pretty much going to be guaranteed not to get those big bass drops when I'm pushing P's or when I'm yelling into the microphone accidentally. This thing's got that anti-clipping feature. So those two features alone really are helpful for me. And then the voice qualities you guys have said in videos is really easy to hear. The last thing I got to talk about with the QuadCast and the QuadCast S, and I don't know if any other reviewers spoke about this, and there's no way to say this without, I guess, just being straight with you guys. And look, I'm not homophobic, but this thing, every time I put it on the desk, it's literally like a phallic object just sitting there. And I just like, look, it's not my thing. It might be for you, but it's not for me. In terms of the design, I like this simple square-shaped design, especially on the Wave 3. The Behringer B1, I use that for voiceovers. And this one here, I sometimes use it for voiceovers too on my other computer because I don't have to port all the interface over and everything like that. But I feel like the voice quality is really good, but I feel like the aesthetics, it's just not for me personally. And I feel like adding RGB on top and not really doing much else with the microphone just to sort of create a new buzz with a microphone is not really innovating at all. But I'd like to see them come up with a new design, new look, and see how they could really push the RGB on a microphone even further. Because I do think having RGB, I mean, it's a trend going through. Everyone wants RGB on their stuff nowadays, and microphones are no different. And I think the USB Type-C, converting that from a mini USB, very welcome addition. Of course, I love USB Type-C. Really easy to use around your studio when everything just uses the same cable. So very welcome addition there. I just feel like, okay, the design, not for me, might be for you. Though do let us know in the comments section below what you thought of the comparison today. Which microphone would you go for personally if you were in the market? Do you have any microphone choices of your own that you want to share in the comments section below, as I love reading your thoughts and opinions as always. And if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like button for us. And you guys thought that was it. We've got the question of the day here, which comes from Sean S, and they asked 5900X or 5800X for Call of Duty. Planning on getting the 3080, the NVIDIA 3080 if I can get my hands on one. And from my test, the Ryzen 7 5800X minces through Call of Duty. They perform pretty similar, ultimately. I'd say if you're doing a lot more with cores and threads on your desktop, besides just gaming, so you're gaming at the same time, you've got all these other things open, and you're playing Call of Duty, you might want to look at the 5900X. But if you're just playing Call of Duty and streaming, got another app open or something, 5800X is going to be absolutely fine. Hope that answers that question for you, and I'll catch you next time. For real this time. Peace out for now. Bye.